Hey guys. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. I hit the plus button to try to record a video and it's just not, there's an option. Maybe y'all can tell me what's going on. I don't know. So, I'm trying to set my camera back up. Let me see if I put this right here. Boom. Okay, so I came to talk to you guys about the myth and the manipulation of the black leader and about how they feel like, or they make us feel as though we need to be led, or we need some type of savior or someone to come and get us and to help us out of disparity. When in fact, most of our black leaders that we have looked up to have actually worked for or been trained and or taught by our enemy, which, to put a name on it, the Jew. And the corrupt banking system that they brought over here with them after Hitler kicked their ass out of Germany. And that come from a rabbi. So y'all don't hate me, because a rabbi said that they fucking ruined Germany's economy through interest and corrupt banking, and Adolf got pissed off and started putting motherfuckers out, not to atone for the violence and the way in which, in the experiments and stuff like that, but he said in the next 5 years, Germany grew to an economic powerhouse after they got rid of the Jews in the banking system. That's a rabbi said that. His name is Rabbi. I will put his name down there. Y'all can go listen to him say it your goddamn self. Shit. But anyway, let me give you a prime example of a black leader hoe ass nigga. Let's talk about WEBD bitch ass Du Bois. Now, that people don't like when I talk about him. My professors hated when I called him bitch ass Du Bois. But like, he was a bitch ass nigga. Like, what the fuck? Number one, he technically wasn't in America. And I believe he was from, let me see where he was from in Europe. Where is E.B. Du Bois from? Let's see. Because we know he's not 100% Negro. That's what I mean about my video about not protecting blackness. You got this mixed man coming over here, you know what I'm saying, practically running shit. You know what I'm saying, as far as black leadership. And he wasn't even from here, didn't really experience slavery or Jim Crow or Reconstruction the way we did. Yet we allowed him into the fold. That's what I'm saying. And then he created the NAACP, which wouldn't shit. Didn't do nothing for nobody. Anyway. Where is W.E.B. Du Bois from originally? It say W.E.B. Du Bois. He probably Du Bois. B-O-I-S. My apologies. Let's see. Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Says his birth certificate. Bro, that nigga is not from America. Why they lying?
Honestly, at this point, I do not know. Like, I know that I'm not doing it. But you knew enough to call someone on a three-way and put her on the phone.
He died in Africa.
Information about it. Something's not because it was leading back to Latrice.
Birthplace, Great Barrington.
This is not her. I did not want Latrice.
Okay, I'm going to do some more digging into that. Because maybe he was educated overseas. But then again, you can't trust Google, because Google down with the bullshit and the lies. But anyway, so let's go. Let's just go with that. Anyway, he's one of those Blue Vein Society members, and we couldn't trust him, but yet we brought him on in. Let's talk about, for example, his background. Y'all know he was taught by that white boy. What's that dude that made the Out of Africa theory? His homeboy. Remember, I couldn't think his name last time either. Marvell Herkowitz. He's a Jew. Okay. Now, he had a friend named Franz Guggenheim? No. Franz Boas. So, okay, Franz Boas is the one that made the Out of Africa theory, and we know that Marvell is who they commissioned to do the traveling. And they said, oh, they like drums and dance, and they got dark skin over here too. Oh, he wrote a book about it. It was in the fiction section because it wasn't real, but we take it as real historical fact. That's why to this day, black people say, oh, we lost touch with our African side. Bitch, it was no African side. They fucking made that shit up. They found some tapestries and some things of likeness that are here in America from the indigenous people of Turtle Island. and said, oh, that's African, dubbed it as Africanism, and said all of a sudden we are African, even though we had never been there. And somehow during the middle passage of slavery, that was the Euro Latinas, the Spaniards brought us all over here, even though Columbus and them never even made it here. Amerigo was on one ship. I don't know how did Amerigo get millions of slaves here, but whatever. I digress. If y'all don't see the holes in history, then that's on y'all. You know what I'm saying? The shit don't fucking make sense. It doesn't add up. But let's go back to the black leaders. So W.E.B. Du Bois, for example, he's a sociologist and historian and all that great stuff. Okay, so he was taught by them. Now, I'm gonna tell you why they took E.B. Du Bois under his wing is because like they do all of our black leaders, they take him under their wing to spew rhetoric to the people. So he's in the University of Atlanta, I believe. Clark, he's somewhere in Georgia, and he's a professor of history, sociology, and I believe economy or economics. History, economics, anthropology, and sociology. Now, we know anthropology and sociology are both some bullshits. You know what I'm saying? They bullshit brothers, and they work very well together. Anthropology is how they go and study and look and say, oh, this is Africanoid. And then sociology is when they bring it integrated into society, integrated into our thoughts, and make us believe that their lies are not the truth. You know what I mean? So, but W.E.B. bitch ass Du Bois. So now he was writing some book, some Encyclopedia Africana, where he was like basically, I guess the thought was to have this Encyclopedia of Africana, which is African languages, African, Yoruba, a little breakdown of African slang and stuff like that. Again, he's working with the white folk, and Franz Boas, who made the Out of Africa theory, these are his professors at Howard. You know what I'm saying? So he was under their wing. You feel me? So he was going to use that to further spew the rhetoric that, hey, y'all get back to y'all African roots. Here go, you know what I'm saying? Here go this book, So what they did was Marvel, the Jew, he was getting more and more notoriety. So, you know what I mean, in the field. And with him getting his notoriety, he no longer needed W.E.B. Du Bois to spit the rhetoric to the black people, because now he had a direct line to him through E.B. Du Bois and his false teachings. Because now they're all falling under the umbrella of the Out of Africa theory. So once they got black people thinking, or the indigenous people here thinking that they're really from Africa, they could put a battery in the back of anybody with all this propagandized material and books that they're not publishing. So they didn't need W.E.B. Du Bois no more. So they discredited his work, said it was all based on mythological things, it wasn't real, etc., etc. And they basically took the brother down. They discredited all his works as far as the Encyclopedia Africana, etc., etc. So, but they was done with him. You know what I'm saying? That's how they do him. They was done with him. So now this nigga goes on and he creates the NAACP, whatever the fuck it's called. That shit that's ran by white folk, Rachel and them. So, during that time, he wanted to it's like they took him down, and he thought that, okay, well, I'm going to be the leader of the black people. You know what I'm saying? Because we so accepting and we'll follow any motherfucking body. So then he comes over here with the NAACP. Remember, this is the light-skinned colorist who's gone through who's gone through the movements of self-hate and stuff like that to appreciate, his love for his light-skinned self. You know what I'm saying? He's a Blue Vein Society member like Giselle Daddy. They say they're activists, but they're really just keeping up the status quo of their brethren / master that they wish they could be like, that they almost look just like. Okay, so like for example, when it's not a coincidence that when W.E.B. Du Bois went on his hobo tour, like I said my hunger, like I know Lovely T, like Lovely T, he say he went on his hobo tour to Durham, the black middle class, to Black Wall Street, to Wilmington. All of a sudden, all of these places burned to the motherfucking ground and was shut down economically. So either he was still trying to kiss the European ass and still be in cahoots with France and Marvel, or it's just a coincidence that every time you visit a black luxurious place, then, you know what I'm saying, it burned down. You know what I'm saying? And to piggyback off of that, as black people, we don't need a leader. We didn't need a leader to create the Black Wall Street. We had no black leader during that time. We didn't have no black leader when we created Wilmington, when we was owning over 40% of the United States, because we were indigenous, but whatever. We already owned it. When we had the black middle class in Durham, when we had North Carolina popping, you know what I'm saying? We didn't have a black leader at the time. We just had black ambition. You see what I'm saying? We just wanted to be somebody. We just wanted to get from under white folk thumb. And remember, white folk never could breastfeed their own kids, maintain their own house. So we were, even though we were still in the role of servitude, we was getting paid for those services. And we had janitorial companies, cab companies, you know, all the things to service white folk needs, because they still didn't want to take care of themselves and look out for themselves. So we got rich off of that. Did you cut the air conditioner on? Well, I don't know what to tell you. It's freezing. Okay, well, cut it off, baby, because it's cold. After I finish recording, you can turn it on. I'll go downstairs. Anyway, Jesus, that's where the air coming from. That vent right there blowing right on the back of my neck. But anyway, so we didn't need a black leadership to be great, because we were already great and we were standing in our greatness. You know what I'm saying? Even during Reconstruction, Jim Crow, slavery, all that shit, we were still great. Don't forget the Sono rebellions, Nat Turner. We had all these rebellions, which I refer to as battles during the war of colonization, of the colonial war, in which they was somebody stealing our land. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't need a black leader to be great. You know what I'm saying? All we had to do was get on one accord and have one idea. So even after slavery and during Jim Crow and Reconstruction, we still had that mindset of ambition and making money, because just like our African brethren, not ancestors, just like our African brethren, we too come from royalty, chiefs, and kings and queens, to where we were donned in feathers and gold as well. You see what I'm saying? I think our gold was more so pyrite, which is an energy stone, than it was pure gold, like that grows in the more tropical climates of African soil. Again, that is a mother continent, so we kind of get where I'm going with that. So and so even then, we didn't need a black leader. So let's go back to my example of E.B. Du Bois. I think I pretty much read him. Fuck him. He ain't shit. And he decided to take down other black leaders with him. So he linked up with Booker T. Washington. And it's funny how when Booker T. Washington was gone on this tour with him and subsequently met his demise, R.R. Moulton, which has been proven to be a government agent, took over Tuskegee, the school that Booker T. built from the ground up himself. And he condoned the Tuskegee experiments, where they was injecting them people out there with syphilis, and seeing how, because Tuskegee is small. I took my daughter out there to see the hangars and stuff, but they was closed. We stick to pictures and shit. And we still went to Booker T. Washington house and tried to peep out in the window and shit. But anyway, it's an easier controlled environment where you can run an appropriate experiment. You know what I mean? And R.R. Moon allowed that to happen, not Booker T. Washington. You see what I'm saying? So it's like we've had for example, prior to the 1500s, go back to the Out of Africa theory. I'm gonna have to do a video on that separately. Prior to the 1500s, there is no talk about the Spains, the slavery, the boats, the ships, and all that there shit. Prior to the 1500s, remember, but slavery had gone on before the 1500s. You see what I'm saying? So anyway. Okay, anyway, so Middle Passage. So let's go back to the black leaders. Let's do Marvin, for example. The greatest body of work, the best thing Marvin ever did for the people was this speech right here. This is my favorite speech. This is the only speech I read by him. And this is when he was getting into his more black nationalist mindset, where he was naming banks you should bank with, where he explaining the Homestead Act, where they uprooted their people from another country, brought them here, then gave them money to farm and steal our lands, where he's talking about banking with black banks. This is his last speech of April 68. This is what I go by. Okay, the other Martin shit, all that other shit, I'm not with it. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of things that I disagree with on Martin, but when he did that last speech and the government commissioned the Spanish Mafia to take him out with the help of his lying-ass homeboy, Messy motherfucking Jesse Jackson. Wait a minute, Jesse Jackson, right? Yeah, Messy Jesse. You know what I'm saying? So Another black leader that didn't help us push forward or propel forward. You know, there's nothing civil about asking for it to be treated like a human. That should not have. That's not a civil right. And then all they did was when Lyndon B. Johnson signed that bill, all they did was that they took it from the word black to minority, and all of a sudden Mexicans, Islanders, everybody became a minority, even gay people and women. Everybody became a minority, and we still didn't get nothing from this movement. So let us well. He said he been to the mountaintop and his dream is a motherfucking nightmare. So let us well. So we could even go to the Black Panthers. The Black Panthers would have some momentum. They was doing good. They create the breakfast programs, the weeks programs, would give young mothers milk and stuff for their kids. They created all this and did all this just to be assassinated and then overlooked. Because let me tell you what they did. They fucked up when they let Elaine Brown and Angela Davis in the mix. Angela Davis turned it into a gay thing and an equal rights, and we gonna be here and share the platform with every motherfucker about it. And then when the people of that movement died out and was incarcerated in prison, it became a LGBT thing. And you know what I'm saying? They would always get constant asked questions. Look at the interviews. Oh, the black man going through this, black man going through this, and how about these homosexuals? You know what I'm saying? So it became a gay thing. And I'm all for in inclusivity, but not at the determinant of what I need as a black person. It's like black rights first, and then lesbian rights, and then gay rights. You know, you can't serve two flags. You can't say, oh, I'm red, black, and green, and I'm rainbow. That shit don't work, bro. You got to pick up motherfucking side and give it to your 100. And until they stop murdering us in the street, whether we gay, transgender, or what the fuck, then you should be over here with the black people saying, hell no, we won't go. Everything matters. Let's blow their head off. It's whatever the fuck we gonna do. You know what I'm saying? But to just say, oh, I'm gonna serve two flags, bitches, you can't. You can't. You cannot. Just like them white folk had to pick between the American flag and the Confederate flag. They didn't wave both flags. Nigga, they had their Confederate flag and they was fighting for slavery. Then after the fact, they went back and picked up their flag. You see what I'm saying? So, even the Black Power movement was hijacked by the LGBT movement. You see what I'm saying? Nelson Mandela, Winnie Mandela got more done while Nelson was in prison than Nelson got done when he got out. Julius Malema getting more done than Nelson Mandela got done with his expropriation without compensation. Y'all know I love to say that. That's my favorite thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like even Malcolm X. Okay, y'all know I love Brother Malcolm. Y'all know I celebrate his birthday every year. And even Malcolm X was pushing all these innocent black people towards the Nation of Islam to fulfill their ranks, not even realizing that the nation was full of shit. Not even realizing that the Nation of Islam was overgrown and overthrown with pedophilia. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all our black leaders failed us to a certain degree. You see what I'm saying? To a certain degree. But you know who didn't fail us? Ourselves. Before we developed this white ISIS, call it black ice theory through what's that S word called that he was talking about? Through subjugation, through what is it? Integration through integration. You know what I'm saying? We were just fine by ourselves. We need to go back to separate and not equal, because nigga, y'all ain't shit like us. Y'all will never be like us. You know what I mean? So before we had this white ISIS coded in black ice theory, we were all thousandaires at the least. There wasn't no really poor black people. Poor black people came into, the only black people that was poor was really the ones that I find were poor, just in my own research, and it might be a little biased as I look up what I want to look up. But the most black people that were poor were the ones that didn't branch out on their own and become entrepreneurs. They were the ones who still want the sharecrop and live on master land and didn't want to pile up into a car or a wagon or a buggy and get the fuck off the plantation. Those motherfuckers were the ones that I find were poor. The sharecroppers. You know what I'm saying? But the dressmakers, the broom makers, the house cleaners, the wet nurses, the people that branched out on their own and became entrepreneurs, the boogie house owners, you know, the club. You know what I'm saying? The hideaway owners, hotels, the cab owners, the bus owners. When Those people were fucking rich and had money. You see what I'm saying? The only poverty, to be honest, no, I don't have one. I was stop looking in me rich. The only people that I really found of color, which I really stop saying that shit, were the ones who were still sharecropping and living with massa and trying to help massa out. Because I couldn't find not one poor entrepreneur that would look like me back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Really, any of the 1800s. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't find just that dirt poor area that they showing all these black and white films. You know, all the black towns were budding and had money. Even even Rosewood. I found out that that white store wasn't in Rosewood. It was on the outskirts of Rosewood, and it was not the only the only store there. It was a black owned store in Rosewood that the white boy was competing with. See what I'm saying? See, it's like how they misconstrue shit. But anyway, I just feel like the Al Sharpton, come on, he ain't let us know well. But to swell the erections, the insertions, you know, we get riled up and he come and calm us the fuck down. You know what I'm saying? Black Lives Matter. That's George Soros fund that. So we already know there's an alternate agenda in there. I do agree with the statement, but I don't agree. I don't confide or get with the political group or affiliate myself with the political group. Yes, Black lives do matter, but I don't support the political group. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't fuck with George Soros, and you know he up to something. You know, you can't trust that bastard. We know he up to no good. He always have been. You know, he funded Antifa. So So boom. So stop it. I just feel like we need to get out of our minds that we need a leader. If we can exercise our brains and tell ourselves we don't need a leader and we just go out there and lead our motherfucking selves, no one can lead you better than you, baby. So we get this out of our mind that we need a black leader. We need somebody to atone and talk in public forums and spit rhetoric, you know, and tell us about ourselves when we could just read a book and learn about ourselves. We could get some ambition and some get up to go about ourselves. So I'm trying to figure out, why is it that we need a black leader when we are black leaders? You know what I'm saying? Yes, we would like to return to a tribal mindset. But unfortunately, our bastard mixed mulatto offspring has stolen our Indian culture and refused to share it. It's cool. That's what they was taught to do. That's what they were supposed to do. You know what I mean? So... And there's that. I just honestly feel as though we are waiting on this great Messiah. And while we're waiting on this great Messiah, we are missing opportunity to exercise and separate ourselves from the oppressor. You know, and the oppressor might even look like us. You know what I'm saying? We got to do a roll call first. You know what I'm saying? Get all these bullshit ass people up out of here. Al Sharpton them gotta go. Messy Jesse, I think it's just Jesse dead. If he ain't dead, his sons got to fucking go. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Trevor Noah, he's a comedian, not an activist. Everybody who is talking about this people of color, who are not separating us, look, they got to go. We need to desegregate now. And we don't need a leader to do that. All we got to do is just live by each other. I don't understand what the problem is. Black people, Mexicans don't have a Mexican leader. They just fucking neighbor up. They neighbor up and they go to the store that has a Spanish title. Like it's just that fucking simple. You don't see no great Mexican leader, or Orlando Huswa or Jose Garrodado. You don't see that. It's common fucking sense. Let's neighbor. Let's live by each other. Like in Houston, Texas, for example, I noticed there's a grab for the inner city where white folks was too good to live. Now they want to live back there, so they got black people buying big houses in Conroe and the Woodlands and all this outskirt shit. But I'm telling you, it's about to go down in the inner city. Do not move. Buy your land, buy your houses, buy whatever the fuck you gonna buy in the inner city. It won't be the ghetto if all of our prominent people would stop leaving it. It wouldn't be the ghetto if honest taxpayers stayed in the area to where we could get new streets, where we could get new school, no more funding for a better school. We can't get that because every time we get $1, we want to move to the woodlands, and all this shit. You want to know why C King got that big ass school back there? Because a lot of our prominent black folk live back there. You know what I'm saying? So come on now. Come on now, and in the city where you at, aren't white folk making a grab for all y'all black neighborhoods? Y'all wards, y'all third wards, y'all second wards, y'all hoods? I know white folk making a grab for it. Because number one, they redlining all these black neighborhoods and they're basically taxing people out, leaving places empty and abandoned for it, not telling y'all that shit going to auction. White folk buying that shit up and they throwing up 2-3-story condos in the back of your own ghetto where you don't even own shit at, but you've been living in it and claiming it for the better part of 40 years. How you gonna throw up Fifth Ward and Fontaine and Homestead and all this shit, but you don't own nothing in that motherfucker? But you complain about, the Mexicans taking over. No, they ain't taking over. They just buying. Motherfucker, they buying. The shit is for sale, they buying. But black folk, we get some money. Even we had all that money to do unemployment. I wish I'd have got some of that motherfucking money. From the CARES Act. I was working. I found out too late, goddammit. But anyway, they was getting all this motherfucking money from the government. It's about to be a drop, economic drop, so y'all better get it together. They got all this money from the government. They go buy Gucci, Louis, Prada, and all that their shit. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to treat yourself, buy yourself a nice bag or something, but have enough money to buy some shit with. You know what I'm saying? At least investing into a company that's gonna propel you forward. You know what I'm saying? You don't need a black leader to do that. You don't need a black leader to be great in your own individuality, in your own self. Ain't no Mexican leader, and ain't no white leader. But we ain't gonna talk about white leadership because we already know how that shit go. The European leader is the Jew and the corrupt banking system. So look, y'all, at the end of the day, we don't need black leadership in order for us to be great in our blackness. We don't need nobody to educate us because we can just read. And we can educate our own children on the greatness of themselves and the greatness of entrepreneurship and explain ambition and stuff to our own kids. We don't need a black leader to buy in the areas where our grandfathers and our grandmothers worked hard to own houses in. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to do all of that. You know what I'm saying? We don't need a leader for that. All we have to do is have enough sense about ourselves to live by each other. There's so many black people living in the woodlands right now, it's ridiculous. But it cuts you off from the city. And I get it. We all want to live great. For the $500,000 to $1 million you're spending in the woodlands, you can buy 2-3 houses right here, right next to each other, and connect them motherfuckers and stack them up and build them up. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, this land and the ghettos across the world are about to turn into white folk areas. Just like they tried that shit. I'm gonna give you a prime example. Harlem. Harlem was ours. Now it's a white folk neighborhood, and black people can't even afford to live in that motherfucker because we allowed them to gentrify our black neighborhoods. All across America, black neighborhoods are being re-gentrified and turned back into white areas because the white folks tired of driving an hour to get to work and an hour to get back home. But they don't want to live by niggas. So they're going to re-gentrify that shit, build up all the schools in your area. You think it's for your black ass? No, it's not. And they're going to move your black ass up out and have y'all living in the suburbs, taking 2 hours and 3 hours to commute back and forth to work with no motherfucking public transportation, no bus, no motherfucking nothing. So that's just that on that. That's what I had to say. You know, this is Black Spin. Y'all know me, honey. I'm just letting y'all know the truth about the truth, baby. I love you guys, and peace.